Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Your Blank What Now podcast. My name is Marcy Nettles, and I am your host. And I am just so blessed to be able to bring you the stories of amazing people that have had their own difficulties in life or breakdown opportunities, that have made decisions and choices as they've gone along that has helped them push through to get to their breakthrough, right? That's what every single one of us is looking for. And so I am really excited to have my guest with you or here with us today, because I have known her for several years now, and I just appreciate her so much. And she has just got such a bright spirit about her. You are going to love hearing from her today. So Anna Merrill, she absolutely loves people and gives lifestyle prescriptions, including connectedness, resilience, movement, and nutrition, to help others avoid medications and surgery, activating their bodies to work at their best. Her motto is everyone happier and healthier. Anna graduated from ASU in education and art. She has attended several community colleges and BYU continuing education. She runs the Exploring Art program in her community, is a published illustrator, and continues to teach in the school district. Anna and her husband, Lauren, coach the NPC college basketball team and run Special Olympics Unified in the White Mountains. They love their 6 children, 3 of which have cerebral palsy. As a family, they actively promote health and inclusion. And so I'm sure that you can all hear why I am so excited to have Anna here with me today. And Anna, I just want to welcome you to the podcast and welcome you to the What Now tribe. Hello.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you very, very much. You've already made me emotional just having you say these things that we've made our life. So yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, you inspire me. You have been through so much. I mean, you're a young woman compared to me. I am older than you, but I just want you to know you inspire me. And the things that you have been through, it's been personal, and then it's also been very personal because it's included your children. But would you mind just sharing with the What Now tribe what your childhood was like and what led into your physical health challenges?
Okay, so start with my childhood.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm the oldest of 5 kids. There's 4 girls and 1 little boy at the end, which he's not little anymore. He's a father with 3 beautiful children. And we, like all families, just, grew up together, had fun. But I did struggle with a health condition that my mom, had to work through with me. My bones, I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but yes, my muscles and bones didn't grow together correctly as a young child. They noticed that at about when I just started walking. So whatever age, whatever age that was. And I immediately, when I started walking, got put in leg braces. The first one was, my feet were spread that horizontal, completely separated from each other with a bar in between. And I had to swing my legs to walk. And then as I got, grew and got a little bit older, my husband called them my Forrest Gump braces, because I still have those. I have actually both sets of braces. They look like torture chamber type things. But I do have those. Doctors don't necessarily practice that anymore when the muscles and bones aren't growing together correctly. There's other procedures or surgery actually that you can heal within 6 to 8 weeks. But I did live this way for most of not my childhood, but my first 5, 6 years. I remember my mom always had me in dresses because it was the easiest thing to put over my leg braces. But I think really profound what I remember growing up is I had to wear them 24/7. So going to sleep was scissor kicking myself to sleep because it was painful. It wasn't, my legs never got a break from these metal bars on my legs. My mom said my walls were all scratched up from these metal bars. But anyway, so from there, and she did the right thing. I've never second guessed what she did for me, because according to doctors at that time, if I didn't have those braces on my legs, my muscles, my legs would cripple up and I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was full growth, around 16, 14 years old. So they did say by putting these leg braces on, because it was stretching my bones and muscles to work together, which made my feet completely far out and I walked in a really interesting way. But it caused me to have early onset arthritis and pain, chronic pain in my own mind, I remember from the age of 2 on. And so I feel like she did the best thing that she could. And I'm grateful that she did that, because I am walking today. I don't know what would have happened if she didn't, but it did cause pain. I loved sports. I was very athletic in school, but I would have to quit cross country and quit different things because it felt like my bones were rubbing together. It was really painful. And that's the only way I knew to explain it at that time, because I didn't know what arthritis was. It wasn't really talked about. But then by the time I was in my early 20s attending ASU and going to school, I remember how hard it was to get up off the floor. It just hurt so much. And nobody told me to go to a chiropractor. My husband took me to a chiropractor when I was first married for the very first time. And I was in diving. So of course I didn't treat my body right. I would do dives and back dives off the high dive and land wrong in the water. So my body was getting pretty beat up. But I was doing physical therapy, cortisone shots every 3 months in my 20s, which now I look back and go, how dangerous that is. I was on prescription strength drugs 3 times a day, just trying to feel good and make it through college, and then became a young mom and trying to take care of children. And then they were diseased, which was strange and a new thing for me, and having to lift them bigger, babies, you don't have to lift them after that, but my children became bigger and had to lift them onto the toilet and different things. And my whole body just became broken. By my early 30s, I was beat up, intestines, everything, my whole body, because I put myself on hold to take care of my family.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's kind of a quick.
Yeah, well, and the reason why I wanted us to start there is because it is a huge part of why you are able to do what you do today, is because you understand. You have been through so very much from such a very young age. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, but we actually have a little bit in common when it
Oh,
comes to this. Not me personally, but my oldest brother was born with cerebral palsy. And
oh,
he and
nice. I
he
didn't know
too had those braces.
that. Okay.
He actually ended up passing away before he turned 6.
I do
But
remember you mentioning that at one time. Yes, yes.
yeah. So it's interesting. And I am grateful that your mother made the decision she did
Me
too,
too.
because, first of all, you're here. And
Yes.
second of all, you are so physical. You are such an active woman and such an amazing mother and leader in your community that I couldn't imagine you being anything other than you are today. And sometimes
Thank
that
you.
that starts with hard decisions, right? Your mom had a hard decision.
She did.
And not to mention she was also in a day and
Yeah.
age that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know the things that we know now,
Right.
right? We didn't
Mhm.
have access to those things. So thank you for, even though I put you on the spot, for sharing that part of your story. And then you mentioned, that you got married. How old were you when you got married?
21.
21. So you were still in college and you
I
were working
was.
with young kids and
Mhm.
preparing to become a teacher, correct?
My husband and I met at ASU in the teaching program, actually.
Okay, wonderful. Well, okay, that
And to
totally makes
foreshadow
sense.
even more, we met in the special ed class.
Wow. Wow.
That
Because you
doesn't bring
guys,
tears to your eyes, because that foreshadowed our whole future after that.
yeah. Yeah, the education that you gained there together prepared you for the future family that you would have together.
Mhm.
Can you share with us your amazing family in your bio? I read you have 6 children. I know 4 of those
Yeah.
are your biological
Yes.
children. So please share with us your children.
Okay, so Charlotte, which is so amazing right now. I'm just so excited. She's graduating, not ASU, that was weird. I went right into ASU because that's where I graduated from. She's graduating from high school. She's 18, and I'm so proud of her. And she just got a scholarship to NPC for performing arts. And to me, that I was doing backflips and crying with her last week. She has cerebral palsy, she has ataxia, she has a neurodegenerative disease that's caused all these health problems for her that she was not supposed to make it to 18. And
Wow.
so if you don't know what neurodegenerative is, I mean, my only best explanation is if you think of a degenerative hip, what do you have to do with that hip? You replace it. So when the whole body is neurodegenerative, how do you replace a body? So that, to me, we didn't know what puberty was going to bring because we don't understand exactly what the disease is still. It's very rare. It's caused so many different side effects for them. So for her making it to graduation, turning 18 and then getting accepted, somebody wants my daughter. Because there's a lot of advocating in the world with special needs.
There is.
And having someone reach out to my daughter saying, we saw you perform in Beauty and the Beast at her high school play, and we want you to come to our college. That right there, even if she didn't go, just somebody wanting my daughter and her feeling that being wanted was huge, if that makes sense. So I'm so proud of her. She's a rock star. She
Yes,
gets
she
around.
is.
She gets around with a gait trainer, which is a walker. Gait spelled GAIT for those who don't know what a gait trainer is. It trains your gait to walk. She also, that's on windy days, icy days. Otherwise, she gets around mostly with forearm crutches, and in a comfortable room, comfortable setting, she'll balance around without anything. So we're excited to see what she brings. She loves children. She wants to do early childhood at the college as well and learn sign language and help kids get through hard things. She said she wants to teach others to overcome and use their disability as strengths. So that's my
Yes.
plan.
So that's Charlotte. So Charlotte, and didn't the doctors say that Charlotte would never walk?
She actually is a public speaker. Yeah, she's done lots of motivational speaking. Her longest speech has been 20 minutes, and she's proud that she has them memorized. And her biggest audience has been 6,000 people. I don't know if you were there at that one. That was exciting. But yeah, one of her speeches, she talks about, she quotes a doctor directly, that doctor said she would never walk, talk, and they even jumped to never get married. And that's when I realized it was that saying. It made me so upset, but it was that saying that turned inside of me and realized doctors don't know everything, because I thought they did. When I was 20 something young years old and had this little girl that they told me she would never walk, talk, or even get married, that's when I realized they don't know everything, because how dare they tell me she'll never get married. The walking and talking, I followed that, and I went down that road thinking that too for a while. But when they said that, I actually literally picked my daughter up out of that office and walked out of there and didn't turn back, and never went back to that doctor right in the middle of the appointment.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you.
But that was
can,
my turning point.
yeah, can you see why you going through what you went through and having your mom be the advocate for you, that helped you be prepared? And then
Oh, yeah.
obviously the courses that you went through to be able
Mhm.
to make that decision for your daughter.
Yeah.
Like that is amazing. And so you've got Charlotte, and then you have,
She's my oldest. She calls herself the firstborn, which I love. That's a huge leadership, and I'll have to explain that in a minute and why I say that. So then next is my daughter, Kalisha. And she has her own health problems. She was a preemie. She's out of all my children, she was the only preemie. So she had lung disease from the beginning. So she was my hospital kid all the time, always trying to figure out why we couldn't keep her breathing. So that caused a lot of learning disabilities and things in school. When you're focused on breathing and your lungs aren't working, that's what you're focused on. So for years, she struggled with that, but she's 16. She's thriving. She's also, I don't want to keep using the word amazing. She's fantastic. She's very wonderful at singing, and she can breathe now. And if you talk to her, she's learning well. She's gone down this path with me, and she loves to also teach health, and she understands all these different things about her body, because she started off rough trying to understand her body, and she's dove in and learned her body as a young teenager. And I love that they've learned about their bodies with me. And she can sing, and someone usually with asthma can't sing. So she's incredible.
Yeah, she really is. And one of the things that I observed of her for many years now, because we've known each other for quite a while and seen your kids grow, is that she has got the heart. She has got such an amazing heart, and she loves her siblings and her family so much.
She does, and she loves people. She will never let anybody get left out. If there's someone feeling left out, her arms are around them, pulling them in. And I just love that about her.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful trait. Beautiful trait. And then who came next?
So then when Kalisha was 3 months old, that was Kalisha, my 16-year-old. So I had Charlotte and Kalisha. And then we were teachers, and there was no homes for these children. And we had this big, ridiculous home at the time, because we built it ourselves, and we had 5 empty bedrooms. And we just started bringing kids home from school with us that didn't have a place to go to. And I know that sounds really silly, but when you love your students, you love your students. And we ended up getting our license for foster care and started bringing kids home. We started with little kids, and then realized there were a lot of teenagers in homeless shelters, because nobody was willing to work with teenagers. And that broke my heart. So I remember at one time we had 6 or 7 teenage boys in my home with these 2 little girls, and they had all these big brothers, and it was scary. I understand the dangers of bringing big teenage boys in with little girls. But by doing that, my children are the least judgmental people you'll ever meet. They've grown up unifying, understanding, and loving people. And I'm glad we opened our home up. But after we adopted 2 of these boys, we've had probably 20 to 30 kids come through our home. And after we adopted our 14-year-old teenage boys, we stopped foster care and realized we had our hands full with one child that was now diagnosed with special needs, with cerebral palsy. Kalisha was having her own health troubles in and out of the hospital. And then we had our 2 boys with their own issues with bipolar, depression, different things going on. I mean, they had 14 years of being in and out of homeless shelters, foster care, parents doing drugs. And I know if they hear this podcast, it'll hurt their hearts for me to say that out loud. But they've gone through lots of struggles. They're 28 now, and One's in Phoenix, very successful, has a girlfriend and a new little baby. So I'm a grandma. I don't
Oh,
want a lot of people know
congratulations.
that yet. Thank you. It's exciting. And he's successful in Phoenix working for a trucking company. And my other son is successful in prison in Utah, and he's doing well.
I understand that aspect because there it is truly success and failure in prison.
There is, and he's doing well. I talk to him almost every day, and his heart and mind is in such a good place. And especially during COVID right now, when they're in a tiny cell and can't get out, I could not imagine having my mind be in such a good place in a tiny box. And the only person he gets to talk to is me and maybe a couple others. But he's incredible. And I'm sorry if I'm tearing up, but I do have incredible children that are doing hard things. I know everybody does. We all do. We all go through this. But Charlotte, that's why she said she's the firstborn, because they came next,
Yes.
but they're older. So she is very serious about her leadership role in the family of loving and taking care of even her big brothers.
Yes. And then you guys continued to have children yourselves.
Yes. So then, even though I knew at that point we didn't know our point of having another child with special needs. They blamed the reason that Charlotte was had cerebral palsy and ataxia and different things was because of it was a rough birth, but the rough birth was because she had a disease that we didn't know about. So she, got stuck in the canal, lacked oxygen. So I feel like she's double timed with cerebral palsy. She has it the hardest of all of them. Because after that, I became a high risk pregnancy. So they paid attention. And when Caroline was born, she didn't go through the struggles of getting stuck and everything because they were already paying attention very close. But about 4 or 5 months later, she was diagnosed with the same disease as my daughter. And that's when we realized, wow, it wasn't just a struggled birth of 18 hours of labor and getting stuck. It was in C-section, they actually have something going on. There was a disease. There was a reason she could not birth herself. Her muscles weren't working.
Right.
Her body didn't work. And so that's when we realized it's genetic. And then my husband a few years later, talked to me, and he just wanted a baby boy because we had 3 beautiful daughters and we had our beautiful sons, our teenagers, but we hadn't had a baby boy yet. And that was a very troublesome time in our life and our marriage to go through that and being vulnerable saying that, because my chances at that time of having another special needs child was very high.
Yes.
And we did our things. We prayed and we fasted. We did everything. But my husband knew there was another, whatever he knew. So we did. We had another child. And I was perfectly confident that this child was going to be perfect because that's what I felt in my prayers. And he was perfectly special needs. Who's to say what's perfect, right?
No, your children are absolutely perfect. And what they're doing in this world, in the bodies that they have, is so tremendous because they've made choices to be who they are, right? And to stand up for who they are and other people like them or people that have challenges as well.
Yes.
And that makes them, I would say, more perfect than people that have no disease that gives them challenges.
Yes. And Caroline, exactly what you're saying. Caroline right now, she is 13, getting ready to turn 14. She's going to be a freshman in high school. And she right now is running for student council representative. And who knew I was going to have a daughter running around with a gait trainer, because she's just like her big sister. Everyone gets them mixed up. They have glasses, blonde hair. They both have crutches. They both have their gait trainer. I took her to an event yesterday and they thought she was Charlotte. And because they just look so much alike. But they don't care about their disease. I mean, they care as in they take care of their bodies, but they have not I have not yet seen them let it get them down. I mean, she just gets around on her crutches. She smiles. She's just so happy. She goes around and compliments everybody. And she's running for student council representative. She's preparing her speech. And it's funny because somebody said, oh, she's just like her mom. Somebody said that to me, and she's doing these things. But that's not me. I would have never ran for student council. I was a shy, quiet, timid girl. My children have brought this out of me and have taught me. And that's what's happened, is they've taught me, and I still would run for student council. That sounds so scary, but she's doing it and they don't let it stop them. And it's fun.
I love it. I love it. So how old is your son?
He's 10 now and he's playing baseball. So Dr. Sveta Silverman is a doctor that we work very closely with. We love her, and she's in our we work with her, and then also our neurologist that she works closely with. She works close with our doctors at Phoenix Children's St. Joe's, and they're completely blown away because we've learned things with my son just because of everything we've gone through. Third time's the charm, right? He has skipped. He did the gait trainer. He's done a wheelchair, but he skipped crutches. He actually runs, and it's a little bit funny because he has a funny gait, but it's cute. But he's this little 10-year-old boy, and he is on the 8-year-old baseball team because of his disease. It keeps him small and, different, but he's hitting a ball that's being pitched to him.
Wow.
And he ran to second base last week. And to me, that was a miracle. And Sveta was our doctor, was one of our good friend doctors. She was freaking out because when she first met him, she lovingly called him a blob because he literally just laid in my arms like a blob. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing. That's just what it was. He was floppy. And when he first started baseball, we did it with a walker. He ran to a base, pushing that walker through the dirt. And so to see it come full circle where everything we've learned through what I've gone through, what my children have gone through, he started as a baby learning all these things that I had to go through trial and error with my poor Charlotte.
Yes. Oh, it totally does. I mean, because we had the conversation a little, earlier in this episode about how we know things now that people didn't know back when you were a small child,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
The power of our own bodies, right? Excuse me. And what our bodies can do when they're activated. And
Exactly.
I know that there was a time in your life that you learned about these things and you started utilizing natural herbs and compounds in
Mm-hmm.
specific ways that really gave your body an extra chance, and it gave your children's body
Yes,
extra
yes,
chances.
yes, absolutely. So starting that earlier in our lives rather than waiting,
Yeah.
it's been a huge jump start for my children.
Well, and being open to trying new things is so important.
I wasn't, I was not.
So share a little bit about that. Share about how you thought the medical field was the way to go,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. And before I do lose this other thought, I wanted to share it. Us going through hard things as parents, I am so grateful to this day having teenage girls that I wore those leg braces because, they wore the leg braces as well. Not the same ones I did, but different ones, AFOs and things up their legs, I was able to pull those out of the closet when I found them because I couldn't find them for a while, but my mom found them in storage and I was able to pull those out, and it just kind of helped them, almost gave me a license as a mother to kind of understand a little bit more what my teenagers were going through, because they were like, you had to wear those, and they were busting up laughing. And they made me try them on my little boy. That was so sad.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
It made it full circle and real that, oh, mom, you went through something kind of like us. And that, I think that was really powerful for myself and for them, that we had something similar. They weren't completely on their own. But yes, I relied completely on the medical world until I realized there was nothing else the medical world could do. And Dr. Amy Leverett, one of our eye surgeons, said it perfectly a couple of weeks ago. She said it and I just burst into tears. She said, the medical world just gave up on your kids. And she was one of them. They didn't know what to do with my children anymore. They still don't have a disease diagnosed. It's a neurodegenerative disease. It's labeled in that area. And they have tons of side effects, the two that people recognize as ataxia and cerebral palsy. But we were a medicine family. My kids will tell you that we brought that pink basket out morning and night, this big pink basket, and they were each on 7 medications. They put Caroline on an antidepressant at 6 years old because she was having night terrors. And get this, she was having night terrors and she was trying to sleepwalk, but she couldn't walk. So she would just fall and a bloody mess would happen at night. So they would give her antidepressants to keep her asleep at night so she wouldn't hurt herself. And she wasn't trying to hurt herself, but she couldn't walk and she was trying. Anyway, it's so crazy. And so yeah, we were just living on medicine. I could give you the whole bucket list of medicines, ADHD, Ritalin, Adderall for the other, just so they could, anyway, all kinds of side effects.
So part of the reason why I wanted to just kind of mention that quickly is just so that people can understand that if you feel stuck in a medical situation and don't feel like what you're getting from your medical doctor is working for you, that there are other options out there and that you need to do research. You need to be your own advocate, right? You need to be looking for things that could potentially be something different, but that could be the solution and the answer for you, right? Because I mean, your kids, they would not be in the situation that they are in now, being so active and productive and involved in everything that they are doing, right? Yeah, because you are running crazy, mama. You're going constantly, not to mention you have horses and chickens and all kinds of other things that you work with. But that's also a testament to how far you have come in your health
Yes.
and your wellness and being able to thrive in your life.
Right. I am grateful for a husband who was willing to be open-minded because I wasn't. Um, we happened to come across just this information. It was 11 o'clock at night when we watched the ABC News report, and he actually ordered it. I didn't even know he ordered it. And then to me at that time, we were like witch doctors. Like it was all medicine, this, that. I was so close-minded because I was just scared. I was
Yeah.
stuck and I was scared and I didn't know what to do next. And it was my husband that ordered it and pushed me to take it. And it was taking it on my own. And I wasn't good at first. He would start putting it out for me to take it. And then after about 6 months of taking it is when I didn't even know I was just taking it. And I remember they called me to get my cortisone shot. It was from May to October and I didn't need it. And I was so blown away. And then it was my ear, nose, and throat doctor. It was other people that pushed me into that spot. That's what's hilarious. It was my medical doctor because some doctors, which I love doctors, and some of them care about the mom too, of the children they're taking care of. And I remember walking in and he was always asking, how's mom doing? Are you drinking enough water? Always asking. And I remember walking into that appointment. He's like, wow, you look good. What have you been doing different? Like, it was almost exactly word for word like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't understand taking a supplement, was changing my body. I didn't know and he just asked me, well, and after he went through the medical stuff, he's like, why are your kids not taking this? And I was just like, well, they don't have arthritis. It was as simple as that. You take this for sleep, you take this for that. And he's like, you need to do your research. And that was the moment when everything shifted for me. That's when he sent me to PubMed. That's when he started to teach me stuff. It was this doctor, and he's retired now, but I'm so grateful for this doctor that sent me down this journey, this road. And then from there, I researched and I called and reached out to the medical board, and I just learned. And that's how I met Dr. Silverman. And this is what opened my mind up because of a doctor that I trusted that sent me there. And then, of course, Dr. Amy Leverett, our eye surgeon, when I started to take natural stuff to her, going, I was scared to give it to my kids. And she said, absolutely. She went home and did her research, went on PubMed. And then I remember her calling me, what doctor calls your home phone? I thought I'd go through a secretary.
Right.
She called my home phone and I didn't even get to talk to her. She left me a message and she said, I just researched this over the weekend. Whether you give it to your children or not, I'm going to be taking this.
I love it.
Thought that was so interesting. And that was my confirmation. I had two wonderful doctors that I trusted that do give my kids medicine, but told me that I need to research this journey and go down this other road for my children. And, when I heard the words enzymes and cells, and these are all the things the neurologist was telling me, that my kids were missing things.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And by the way, guys, if you're listening to this podcast and if you're curious, feel free to reach out to Anna. Feel free to reach out to myself. We both have information on exactly what she's talking about. And if you're looking for a solution, we might be able to point you in a really good direction as well. So being open-minded, I'm so glad that your husband was, because that is part of what helped you guys, because there's a lot more to where you are now compared to where you were. And a lot of it has to do with what your mindset is. Can you share how mindset is so important and how it's helped you and your family on this journey? And just so everybody knows, the title of this episode is Your Cerebral Palsy Hacked. What Now? So tell me about mindset, Anna.
Well, that was a huge change when I saw my body change, my own body change from being broken, because it wasn't just my legs and my joints. It affects your whole back, your neck, everything. And I didn't realize organs, and then not taking care of myself. When my body started to get better and my neurologist reached out to me and he said, I would love to do a marathon with you, the Rock and Roll Marathon in Phoenix. I would love for us to be able to push your chairs in a wheelchair, and I'll get another doctor. We'll push all 3 kids in their wheelchairs and do this marathon. And normally my first instinct would be like, heck no, I can't do that. And then I'm like, I feel better than I did when I was a teenager. Let me try this. And we did. And we did this. And those same wheelchairs now are sitting in my garage.
Wow.
To have the support of these medical doctors who only believed in medicine at first, they went on this journey with me because they saw, if you talk to them, they saw my kids go from immobile to mobile. They're not perfect. They're perfect in my mind. They still have crutches, but they have severe cerebral palsy, and they were in wheelchairs. They still shake their heads at times. They still, when they're not in complete control, but they're upright, they're making life happen. But there was a time when we were stuck, like you said, and to be able to have that shift, but it didn't just shift our health-wise and our bodies, everything shifted. When I realized my body was healing, and then, of course, that personal growth journey, I think, was even harder than our body's healing. But I did a marathon that I couldn't do when I was a teenager. That was huge. And I pushed wheelchairs with this doctor who was totally medicine mindset too. And he shifted with me. He's one of my dearest friends now. And I still have to see him every 6 months. But in between, we send pictures of my kids doing these things. When my daughter got her scholarship, I was excited to send it to our neurologist. But that mind shift is huge. And I don't even know where to begin with that. A quick story to help with that understanding of a mindset is I have a very interesting family. When my daughter, Kalisha, got diagnosed with asthma and lung disease, she's in a family of kids with walkers and crutches and wheelchairs. She was actually excited to get an inhaler. She was excited because she felt so different in a family of those with disabilities that I remember her going, is this my thing? Like it was normal to have a disability and not normal to not have one, right? If that makes sense. And then, so my husband and I have coached for years. We coached soccer at the high school. We love coaching. When I met my husband, that's what he wanted to do because he knows changing lives is coaching these teenagers and helping them grow and develop. And so that's what we've done since we've been married as teachers and coaches. And my kids are always going on all these sports trips with us. But after we had him sitting on the sidelines in wheelchairs and life was just getting difficult putting wheelchairs on the buses to go with us to coach, we realized we had to have a shift. And it was interesting because Special Olympics, about that same time, after half of 8 to 10 years of coaching, they reached out to us and asked us, and this might pierce some people wrong, or some people might really connect with what I'm going to say. They asked us to coach Special Olympics. And I don't even know where this answer came from, but my answer right away said, I cannot coach Special Olympics. I respect it. I love what you do, but I don't believe in segregation. I can't separate you guys over here and you guys over here. It did not work in my brain. I could not separate my family and segregate them apart and only coach half. So that was my answer. And it was simple, and they didn't talk to me anymore about that. But that statement came from somewhere obviously in tune with my God, whatever that was, because I wasn't prepared to say that. I wasn't even whatever that was. But 2 years later, Special Olympics came to me again. And they said, we're pioneering a movement, a unified movement. We're putting a worldwide board together. We want you to be one of our first unified teams. Will you coach unified? And that was an honor. I felt like to even be asked to be a part of that. So Gilbert, Arizona and Snowflake, Arizona, Taylor, Arizona were two of the first unified teams in the world. And now it's worldwide. And that was 10 years ago. So we've been coaching Special Olympics unified, and that's really important. So I was so grateful when you said Special Olympics that you didn't drop that unified, or I might have jumped in and corrected that because that word is so huge, this world. And that has become a mission for my children in the last 10 years, being unified. It doesn't matter who you are, what's going on in your life, we love each other. And one of my memorable moments, and I have so many YouTube videos, you guys, if you want to get on my YouTube channel, but one of them was really powerful when I was coaching, but we coach basketball still, and it's unified, and we have a younger team, we have an older team, and it's so neat to see my kids trying to balance up and down the court. They can't bounce a ball and walk at the same time, but they're carrying this ball and balancing it and then passing it, But to see these two teams working together and see this 6-year-old woman walk in one day, she just showed up. She walked because she couldn't drive. And she walked in and she just said, I heard you guys are unified. I don't know how to play basketball, but I want to be a part of something. And that's when I realized my kids were making that mission happen. And she's the oldest one on our team, and she can play basketball. She's amazing. And she's running relays, and she's a part of something for the first time in her life, she said. So the mission my kids are bringing is incredible. So.
Wow. Seriously. So I wasn't even sure exactly what Special Olympics Unified was.
Mm-hmm.
And that is amazing.
It's a huge, I work with 109 families So you can imagine each family, how many people that is, but 109 families, and it's a unified thing, and we're year round. And so when we say everyone happier and healthier, my kids came up with that. Everyone has a chance to be happier. Everyone has a chance to be healthier. Nobody should be left out of that equation.
No, no, not if we want to be a community of people, to actually be a tribe. It's like
Yes.
here on this podcast, we're the What Now tribe, right? People want to
Yes.
be part of something. And it's
Mhm.
exactly what you're talking about in this unified movement. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
That is amazing. I love it. So tell me, you've already kind of shared some of what your kids are doing now. I know that with Charlotte being 18,
Mhm.
we're kind of moving into a new season in
Yes,
your
it's scary.
life,
It's
right?
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, because Charlotte is going out into a new environment that is new to her. It's different to you, and you're not going to be there all of the time. I know that
Right.
it's been that way when she's been in high school too.
Mhm.
But she's been with people that she's known.
Yes. And Dad's at school because he's a teacher there. So
Oh, how awesome. Okay, so that is so cool. But how does that feel to you as a mama, knowing that, first of all, she made it to that point to where they said she would never get,
Mhm.
and she's thriving. She is wanted at this school because of her skills and talents and how beautiful she is. How does that make you feel?
Scared and excited all at once. Is that a good feeling? um, it's funny, a picture that came to my mind. So I'm an illustrator. And a picture that came to my mind when you said that, if I can share that, is I helped illustrate a book called The Candy Monster. And there's a picture that I painted, and I used my daughter running on the beach for the very first time without her crutches. And it's like riding a bike, there's momentum behind it. And so I happen to have my camera in my hands on the beach, and Charlotte, without her crutches, got running on the beach. And at the picture, you can see her toes just hanging, clawing to the sand, trying to stay up. And her face is exactly what I'm feeling right now. Her face is capturing the moment when she's excited and terrified at the same time. She's upright, she's running in the sand. And that's a scary, hard place to run. But she was, so that face captures how I'm feeling. And it was funny when I was trying to create a face to see her friend that turned into a candy monster. I used that same exact picture in my book. So if you ever see that book, you'll see that picture. No, there's more meaning behind that picture. That's my daughter running on the sand for the first time, but I used it seeing her friend for the first time turning into a candy monster, excited and terrified. But that's the feeling I have, and I'm excited. And it was interesting because we had to do a follow-up appointment with one of our doctors the other day, and we have a team of neurologists that work together. And they told me that they were resigning, kind of retiring from this other place, and I just burst into tears. And I didn't realize what you said, how scary it was for me. When he said that, I'm like, everything's changing too fast. I can't have you guys change and Charlotte grow up and change. It was scary. And I didn't realize till that moment that I wasn't just excited for her to go into this new life. There was a part of me that was terrified. And that's when it set. And I think that was just yesterday. So, and of course they're going to be there. I still get to go see them at another clinic, but that feeling of them going away suddenly when they've been part of our story and our support for my kids. And yeah, it's exciting. I'm beyond thrilled for her. I can't wait to see what comes next. But there is a part of me that's scared.
Of course, because you're mama, right?
Yeah.
Mama bear. But Charlotte has proven herself over and over and over again.
Yes. She's able to do this.
And she is strong and she is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is not the first time that you've had fear.
No.
And so in the past, I mean, I can, even when you were expressing to me and sharing when your husband wanted to have a son, I could see that you were terrified at that point in making that decision too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yet,
Mm-hmm.
what was it that got you through then?
That got me through with my son having that child.
Making the decision to have another child.
Lots of long walks, becoming in tune, paying attention, listening. Um,
What does faith mean to you?
yes, well, I actually went to my grandfather during that time because I needed a separate opinion. I don't even know if an opinion was the right word. I just needed a separate conversation from my husband that I knew wasn't jaded from a doctor who was telling me not to, from my husband who was wanting another child. and from myself, who was just scared to death. And I needed to overcome that. Like you said, faith. It was my grandfather that I went to at that time. And he was actually really sickly and passed away not too long after that because he was elderly. But he was someone I highly respected, and he helped me to overcome that hurdle and recognize to have faith, and that'd be okay.
And now being in a position to where you're super excited and yet you're terrified, even with the multiple changes that you thought were happening, where it's not really, it's still okay. They're still there for you, right?
Yeah.
But you have a whole
That was
new
my moment of recognizing my fear, because I hadn't felt that fear, and I just felt it the last 2 days for the first time, really.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing is now is that you have a whole new community of people around you. You have a whole new tribe of people that are cheering you on and that you know would be there for you no matter what, to be able to help you, to be able to help any one of your children. And of course, Lauren as well, because we love Lauren. Lauren's amazing. And so it just, maintaining that faith, maintaining going to the source of the strength, right? And keeping his love in your heart, which is our, Father God, right? And so just maintaining that, and you can get through anything that comes your way.
Yes.
And
Charlotte, I didn't want to interrupt your thought. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, Charlotte, one of her speeches starts out, she has several speeches in her head, and it's according to what situation that she pulls it out. And one of her speeches, she starts out, faith over fear cannot coexist at the same time.
Yes.
And she teaches hard things, and she's always used her. And I remember kind of going into this, she had a counselor at the high school, and this counselor, we have meetings, IEP meetings, and the counselor afterwards, after the meeting, said, "Can I visit with you for a moment?" I didn't want to bring it up in the meeting, especially because Charlotte was there. And I said, "Sure, we'll visit for a little bit." And this counselor was concerned about Charlotte. And she asked if Charlotte wanted to stay there. And I just said, "Yeah, let her stay here. She can talk about this with me, whatever your concern is." And she just said, "I visit with Charlotte on a regular basis, and not once has she ever complained about her sickness or disease. And I'm really worried that she's bottling it up and it's going to explode." And Charlotte looked at her, and I don't remember the exact words she said, but it was along the lines of like, "My disability gives me strength." And that counselor just teared up. And she says, "I'd never been taught by one of my clients," but she said, "I recognize that Charlotte doesn't find weakness in her disability. She uses it as a strength." And she just taught me a whole lot in these. I mean, it wasn't even more than a 30-minute conversation. But Charlotte didn't even waver in that. She just knows she's okay, and she knows it's hard. I mean, she falls a lot. They have broken tailbones, and we have to go to chiropractors and everything on a regular basis to stay whole. And they break their legs when they walk, and their feet, it's not easy. It's hard, and windy days are scary, but and they know they need help. They can't, shower by themselves and do things by themselves. They're not going to get too far away from me anytime soon, but they're happy. Does that make sense? They're leading life. I don't know. I can't explain it. They're a wonderful example to me, and they have so much faith.
It makes so much sense. They're not focused on the small thing that is hard. They're focused on everything that they can do to live life and to serve others and to love and to make people feel important and included.
Right.
And focusing on that, focusing on helping people around them makes their disability small to them.
Right. And another quick example that I thought was really important, and I'm hoping I'm saying things that ring true to people and don't hurt anyone, but Charlotte's best friend, sweet girl, she came to me one day and just said, "I don't know how to tell Charlotte this because she's so sweet and so pure and so kind, but I'm pregnant and I don't know how to tell her." And she was a teenager in high school. And I just, put my arms around her and just said, "Charlotte's going to love you no matter what." And I said, "You need to tell her because you guys are best friends. She would want to know and be a part of this with you." And of course, it's been fun because Charlotte gets to love on her baby now, and he's older now. But Charlotte at the time told her, and I kind of was a listening ear in the next room, but when she told her, she said, "Oh, this is your disability. This is your struggle. You got this." Like, she didn't even skip a beat. Like, she's like, "Oh, this is your thing. I can help you with this." Like, does that make sense? We all have our struggles. We all have so a lot of the time she's like, "What are you going through? What's your disability?" Like, she just sees it as it's a struggle. We all go through struggles, and how can I help you with your struggle? And I don't
Wow.
know if that made that clear, but to me that was so powerful. It was just something this teenage girl had to go through, and Charlotte wanted to be her friend and help her through that rather than, I don't know.
Wow. No, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And anyone that is listening right now, they need to keep that in mind. It's like whatever you're going through right now is just your struggle for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stay alone. Don't bottle it up.
Right.
Look for people that love you and care about you, because every single person has somebody, or
Yes.
somebody that's willing to be that person for them. Ask for help and you'll
Right.
get through this. And by the way, I hope that everybody that is listening right now is really taking this amazing story, this family that has been through so much, and just looking at their challenges and opportunities to break down, but where they chose to break through, and realize that, you know what, no matter where you're at, there's always someone that has more struggles,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
There's always someone. And so look up, get your chin up, people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just make the next best step. Step out in faith and do hard things. It's okay.
Yes.
Even if you fall, it's okay. You
Mhm.
can do this. So Anna, I would love for you to think for a second and just think of something that you would love to be able to go back, if you could, to yourself at a younger age, whether it was when you were in school and it was difficult, or when you got married and were wanting to have a family. What would you say to yourself after this path you've been on, this journey that you have triumphed through? What would you say to yourself?
Oh, goodness. Well, first of all, I think all the trials I've ever gone through, and when there were times I thought I didn't want those trials, that I'm grateful for those trials. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm grateful that I went through the leg braces so I could understand my children. Um, we're built to be strong. When I was a teenager, whether my parents are listening to this or not, they understand, but we went through a tough time as a teenager. We were kind of, I hate saying the word homeless as a teenager, but we lived in a camper trailer for several years, 7 of us, with no electricity, no water for a lot of the time, trying to build a house together as a family. And that was a trial. I thought when I was a teenager, my way of getting through that is like, this is my big trial. This is all I ever have to go through. The rest of my life's going to be easy because this is my big trial. And it was a hard trial. I had to go to counseling and different things as an adult because of that. But I look back on that the same as my other things I've gone through. And I'm so beyond grateful for that. It was hard. It made me angry at my parents. It made life tough. It's made lots of healing. But it taught me then I could do hard things, but also gave me something to prove that I didn't have to stay stuck there.
Yes.
It taught me that my kids don't have to stay stuck in a cerebral palsy body that didn't work, that just laid floppy on the ground. Charlotte loves when I tell people that she's the fastest roller. When she was 3-4 years old, she didn't know she had arms and legs, but she was the fastest roller. When I called for dinner, she would just flop her body over and flip it over and get in there. She figured out how to make her body get somewhere. And I don't know if there's a book called Everything's Figure Outable, and that really truly is. If you're stuck in a spot, and she did it, your husband would die as a doctor and other physical therapist, but I didn't know any better. But I was in my 20s and my daughter could throw her head and flop her body over. That's the
Oh, wow.
worst thing possible for any physical therapist to see. But my daughter knew she had a head. She knew she had a whole body. And that's what she did to get around. And that for me was so powerful because she learned she had those things. What if I taught her she had arms and legs? I didn't just have to put her in a wheelchair. What if I taught her she had arms and legs? She learned she had a head. She learned she had a body to flop, right? And she was a fast roller. But the doctors immediately put my kids in wheelchairs because that was the normal tradition. And I actually got in trouble with CPS and things because I put my kids in these walkers. So our physical therapist, and I love her dearly, she just passed away these last couple of months, and we got to do her funeral with her family. My kids spoke in it, but she was the crazy lady along with crazy me who went and got this John Deere green big fiberglass walker out of somebody's shed. And my daughter's arms were up to here, walking around this walker when they should be down to here. So it made every physical therapist doctor crazy.
So everybody that's listening, she had her elbows up at shoulder level.
Yeah, like up by her head.
Yeah. So her arms were up high, not like a normal walker, straight armed, right? So it was a really big walker. It's too big for her, but perfect for her.
There was no doctor that was approving my kids being put in gait trainers or walkers. They were like, nope, we'll strap their heads at wheelchairs. They're shaking their heads. I mean, we tally marked it 80 times a day. They shook their heads. And when they did, they lost eye control. They slobbered. That's where we were. And I decided as a teacher and being in that class with my husband was special ed. And then we were actually put in the special ed department at the high school emergency certified. This crazy journey we went on to, we just learned and we went on this journey. So by the time we had our children with special needs and cerebral palsy, we realized they could learn. And when I saw she could flop her body, why couldn't they learn they had arms and legs? And so we followed this pattern of my physical therapist who got us this huge walker, and we strapped her in, roped her in, put the Door Explorer helmet on her. And I would just drag her feet on the carpet, let her feel the carpet under her feet. We put towels around their waist and drag their hands on there. We did things for years that looked so ridiculous. And then of course, when we started putting the good nutrients in our body and their bodies, everything just came together full circle.
Wow.
Our bodies are meant to heal. They're not meant to be
are
perfect, but they're meant to heal. They're meant to get stronger and better. And so they're not stuck in wheelchairs. And it was because of crazy people like me and others around us that were willing to go down this journey with me. And then when doctors saw my daughter walking around in that huge walker, they were like, okay, fine, we'll go down that route with you. And that's where they started to see my kids go from immobile to mobile.
Wow, that is just amazing. Seriously. So it's like if it was me going back to talk to you when you were a younger girl and going through all of these difficulties, what I would say to her is like, you are freaking amazing. You are so strong and powerful. You are an overcomer, and you are going to do amazing things that nobody ever knew could be done. You are going to be an atmosphere changer. Keep going, little girl, keep going, because you have got an amazing family that is going to help change the world and how people look at each other, how people love each other, and how people are included. That's what I would say to younger Anna, because that's how I see you. And I know that those are all things that you've had to be to get where you are now. And so, I would really love for you to be able to share what you and your family are so passionate about now. Some of those hashtags you were telling me about before. But what are you guys doing to spread joy and love and inclusion around the world?
So my kids, every day, we really talk strongly about, it's not, of course, every perfect day, but we really focus on being a detective of service. Whether it's a mother that's pregnant, trying to bend over to pick up a piece of something on the ground, trying to be the first to pick it up for her, just looking to be that smile for somebody. It's my kids actually come home from school excited to, Mom, this is what I did today to be a detective of service. And I think having that mentality, just going into life every day, looking who to serve. We actually, in our prayers in the morning, help us to be open-minded who needs help today, whether it's with their health, whether it's being included and being a part of something. It's that whole thing that we talked about in the beginning: resilience, connectedness, movement, nutrition is important. Once you need movement, you need to go on a walk with your spouse to have that connection. There's so many different levels. You need a connection with society. And that's where we saw in COVID, people were stuck in their homes. They weren't getting the movement. They weren't getting the connectedness. They can maybe get the nutrition, but you have to have all of it. You can't just be eating healthy. You can eat healthy and sit on your couch and watch TV and you're not going to be okay. You need the resilience. You need good sleep. It's kind of a combination of all of it. And so we just really try to be inclusive, like you said, trying to make sure my kids are the best examples of not letting people feel left out. We do lunch bunch every Wednesday. Everybody knows every Wednesday they go to my husband's classroom and I bring food for 30 something kids. And it just kind of gives the atmosphere of anybody can come, anybody can show up. And we have, I shouldn't give names, but we have a little boy in there who is blind that comes and he loves to pick the music out and it blasts, while we're eating lunch. And then you have the most popular boy in the school there with the football team coming to eat lunch. And then you have my daughter with her crutches running in to hang out with everybody. And just laughing. And it's just fun to see this community of everyone sitting together and just hanging out. And it's actually a beautiful sight to come in and get to see this interesting group of kids from every direction of life coming in.
I
And
love it.
that's how we need to be in life, is just helping each other and looking out for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. So, how can people connect with you, Anna? And do you guys, I mean, you need to share that YouTube channel you were talking about. It's the Merrill Buds, right? With a Z?
Yeah, my kids have kind of, somehow it's been branded from the beginning as Merrill Buds with a Z, and they actually do motivational speaking together, the four of them. Charlotte will do her speaking, and Cleisha will jump in with her singing, and then we always call Harrison, our little 10-year-old. He's getting older now, but he's always been the little mascot that just entertains, and they bring happiness and light and unity. And we do have a YouTube channel. We're still trying to get better at it. I'm not great at keeping up with it because I'm a busy mom, but yeah, you can connect on there. There's health on there. It's called, I can say it right, Merrill Buds. Merrill's work. Okay, so Merrill's work together, play together, stay together. But also Madness with the Merrill Buds is another one. Is what the YouTube is some madness with the Merrill Buds, some good, some bad, but mostly good. Bad things are going to happen in our life, but we can make mostly good out of them. We can change it to good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if somebody wants to reach out to you, can they follow you on Facebook? Can they find you there?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome.
Anna,
Awesome.
yeah, do you want me to give the full name so they can get it?
Yes, please.
Anna Pember, Pember, Anna Pember Merrill.
Awesome.
And that's actually where I get to work with a lot of people. I get to work with people all over the world and help them, whether it's through an IEP at school, how to advocate for their child, whether it's to get them the good nutrients for their child, but don't forget the mom needs to be taken care of. That's one of my biggest advice of taking care of someone with special needs, is don't forget how to lift that child. That was something I didn't know. Like, we need to take care of the mom, the parents, the grandparents, whoever's taking care of those with special needs. But I get to coach and teach and help in all those areas.
I love it. That is so, so cool. You are an amazing woman, Anna. And I am so grateful that you said yes to something scary, because this scared the crap out of you, didn't it?
It did, yes. I said a
So,
prayer before I got on so I could be open and share what was on my heart and what needed to be heard by the community.
yeah, and you've been amazing. So what would your final words be to the What Now tribe?
Oh, goodness gracious. Have faith over fear. Don't get stuck where you're at, because I was stuck. I was scared. I was getting our third wheelchair. And what now, right? Like what you said, what am I supposed to do with a third wheelchair? I don't have a third arm. If you get stuck, reach out to somebody. Reach out to me, reach out to Marcy. Don't stay stuck. That's my biggest thing, is you don't have to be stuck with whatever's going on in your life. You don't have to be stuck with your disability. You can learn to create it as a strength so you can help others. You don't have to be stuck. Reach out, reach up.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for that. And Anna, I just want to thank you for being an amazing, amazing guest today on your episode. Yes. So remember, your episode is Your Cerebral Palsy Hacked. What Now? So thank you so much, Anna. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Marcy. Appreciate you.